I want to take a moment to say something like so many Americans, like Karine, as he pointed out, a proud Haitian American community that's under attack in our country right now. Simply wrong. There's no place in America. This has to stop what he's doing. It has to stop.
It's got to stop. What Donald Trump is doing has to stop. You know the what. Donald Trump's debate stage delirium about dogs and cats being in danger. We're not going to repeat it, but that's exactly what Trump and his allies want us to do, as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar explained perfectly.
The insanity of having a senator, a candidate for vice president, and a former president, and now a candidate for president, really talking about memeing into reality a racist conspiracy, dangerous story like this. What it means is that there are so many people now who are looking for stories to make this true. And it gins up this dangerous reaction by folks who are unstable.
We should note that Congresswoman Omar came to this country as a child refugee. She's been outspoken about the persistent threats she receives, so she knows of what she speaks. Memeing into reality is what Trump and company are doing. It's a made-up thing. But a figure of stature, let's say a former president, says it, and suddenly it's everywhere, in headlines, in cable chatter, the quote-unquote investigations into this made-up thing. Suddenly the made-up thing that didn't exist a week ago comes up at the checkout counter. Hey, did you hear about... People have now been forced to encounter the made-up thing and consider it. It's inescapable. You've been provoked into imagining it. The fact check is insufficient because the words strung together have put the image in your brain, whether you believe it or not. And some people out there actually will believe it, and they will act on it. Some Republicans are upset because Trump doing racism out loud is highly inconvenient in an election year. In fact, Ohio's Republican governor, Mike DeWine, went on CBS News to say it's just not true, in a pretty mealy-mouthed way, but he was there to testify to the falseness of it. The governor of Ohio, the location for this particularly dreadful thing, should know it is not true. But he also said this.
This is something that came up on the internet, and the internet can be quite crazy sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it's the internet. No, it's not the internet. It came up because Donald Trump brought it up on national television at a debate, and 67 million people watched him do it. This Ohio City Hall was not evacuated because of the internet. These Ohio children were not sent home in fear from their schools today, denied their right to an education because of the internet. It was because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is pushing a racist, dangerous lie because he knows some people will believe it. The Republican governor of Ohio made headlines earlier this year for saying that he would not endorse Donald Trump and he would not campaign for Donald Trump. When he was interviewed in this interview to dispel Trump's racist lie about things going on in his state, he made several substantive points, including speaking up for the character and the work ethic of the people who have recently arrived in his state. That they are hard workers, his words, who want to provide for their families, his words, and seek a better life. Governor DeWine talked about wanting to do better at local, state, and federal levels to respond to their specific needs, these new people to America. And yet the governor of Ohio protected Donald Trump by blaming the internet instead of actually blaming Donald Trump. And of course, he's voting for the Republican nominee, who is Donald Trump. No Republican is calling for Trump to drop out of the presidential race over the racist, dangerous, made-up lie. As he predicted, Donald Trump could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and, quote, not lose any voters, end quote, because he didn't lose the Republican governor of Ohio with this one.
I certainly support President Trump.
Of course you do. What will it take? Where is the bottom? Is there a bottom? No Republican who supports Donald Trump should be able to claim distance from what Donald Trump supports. openly and repeatedly as he did in that debate. We don't need to chase Donald Trump's made-up thing. We can chase the wannabe respectable Republicans who say they will vote for him and demand to know if that is still true. It is worth remembering the recent history of some of the unstable people who were activated by anti-immigration rhetoric. The mass shooter who killed 10 people at a Buffalo supermarket. The mass shooter who killed 11 people at a Pittsburgh synagogue. The mass shooter who killed 23 people in El Paso Walmart. It's dangerous. Donald Trump's doing it, and it has to stop.